Hello, investors. It's Don Vandenbord, Chief Investment Officer with Revere Asset Management. Today is Thursday, July 31st, 6:07 p.m. Eastern Time, coming to you from St. Augustine Beach, Florida, with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. Take two, as we had a computer glitch during the first attempt. So, state of the market. We're in an uptrend since the O'Neill follow-through days back in April 22nd and 23rd. But back the trend gauge over here. We've got the first signs of weakness on the indexes. Leading stocks still acting fine, but short term today, the weakness took the mid cap index, small cap index, Dow Jones Industrial Average, and equal weighted S&P 500 below their 21-day moving averages. So we've got a yellow sub arrow there. And after a very long run higher in the indexes, it may be time for some pulling back. We're fine relative to the medium-term 50-day moving average and long-term 200-day moving average. So what happened today? We had a gap up at the open, but it was a gap that was caused by great reactions to the Microsoft and Meta earnings after Wednesday's close, and it was really hiding what was going on for the average stock as the RSP was weak right away. That's the equal weight S&P, and small caps opened red. That gap up on the S&P and the Nasdaq faded. We put in the high right out of the gate and closed red across the board by the end of the day. But you can see some green mixed in here. That's because leading stocks mixed, held up pretty well. But as I said, now we got four indexes closing below the 21-day exponential moving average. Here are the numbers: the 21-21, 10 up, 9 down, 2 neutral, up an average of 0.66%. The Turbo 12, 4 up and 8 down, but the ups were stronger than the downs. It was basically unchanged on the day. The Big Eight on the back of Meta being up 11% and Microsoft up 4%, closed up on average about 1%. The RG8, this R8 Growth ETF Composite, down 0.6%, but FFTY, this is the go-to ETF for what leading stocks are truly doing. It was up 1.3% on the day. S&P 500 gapped up 0.75%. Reversed was down as much as 0.5%. Bounced slightly into the close, but still down 0.37% outside negative reversal day. Equal weight S&P down 0.9. Very clearly, breadth was not in favor today. NASDAQ 100, after gapping up 1%, reversed hard, closed down 0.5%. Equal weight, even worse, down 1.75%. Dow down 0.75, mid caps down 1.1, Russell down 0.9. Global diversified 60/40 stock bond down 0.33%. Our flagship GROTECTION portfolio down 0.38%. Turbo down only 0.15%. Some of our holdings did their jobs, buoying the returns today for our portfolios. So here's the S&P 500. Let's go to a 5-minute chart very quickly. You can see the gap up, sold off immediately. We tried to rally. Didn't made a lower high. The definition of a downtrend is lower highs and lower lows. You can apply that to any time frame, and this is very clearly a downtrend today. 3 waves down. You could argue that there were 5 waves down here if you want to break some of these up. But not a good day at all. Not a surprise, however, when you're extended and have been extended as long as we have, 67, 68 days above the 21-day moving average, and you can't buy a gap up after strength like that. And good trade by Ted and Connor today. They took some QLD off, booked their gains on it, and then we watched things reverse right out of the gate. First close below the 8-day moving average for the S&P 500. NASDAQ 100 basically closed right on the 8-day moving average. You can see the candles, the bars for the last 2 days, very clear expansion. So volatility is picking up as well. We're heading into a very seasonally weak period, August and September. This may be time for the market to rest a little bit. There's the market cap weighted S&P. Let's look at the equal cap weighted here. Here it is. You can see it breaking the 21-day moving average. Never broke out to a new high. relative strength lagging during this entire run higher on the equal cap weighted S&P 500 because the NASDAQ 100 has been leading. But you can see the expansion in the bar again today closed less than 0.1% below the 8-day moving average, but a higher high and a lower low outside negative reversal. That's the NASDAQ 100. Let's go to the Dow Jones Industrial Average, breaking the 21-day moving average today. Really, this is just in a range for the past 4 weeks, hanging at that 44, still above that 44,000 level. The mid cap index breaking the 21-day moving average. This is really just in a 4-week consolidation as well after a move up. So the big strength in the big caps has been masking under the surface. The RSP tells us that, and now the Russell breaking the 21-day moving average today. But again, it's just in a 4-week sideways consolidation. But all these indexes underperforming relative to the S&P and especially the NASDAQ 100. Let's go to inter-asset correlation. The VIX. VIX spiked today as the markets pulled back. It was up over 8%. And the dollar continues to be strong, up for the 6th day now, right around that 100 level. How did that impact precious metals? Well, gold survived, had an inside day after selling off late yesterday, but still closing at the bottom of the range, but positive. Gold stocks breaking the 50-day moving average, rolling over. Silver broke the 21 yesterday, held the 50-day today, but also negative. Let's go to the two main cryptos. IBIT won the vote against IBIT for pronunciation. But I pronounced this just going sideways over the last 3 weeks, showing some moxie as it's a really a risk on asset class, holding above the 21-day moving average, ETHA, Ethereum, holding above the 8-day moving average. Definite relative strength against Bitcoin. Now to bonds, broad bond index, tight range today, just positive barely. TLT, positive as well. The yields on the 30-year dropped, but closed at the highs of the range, and the 10-year also down, but at the highs of the range. All right. So inter-asset correlations go to the tail of the tape. Some big changes here. Stochastics have rolled over for all 6 of the indexes that we track on the daily chart. The RG8 still have 1 up, 1 neutral. They're both overbought and 6 down. NASI, the Collins Summation Index, hooked lower. Dollar continues to be strong. And the percent of stocks below the 5-day is down at 24. So it's at the low range, but not to where you're almost guaranteed to see a bounce. The VIX spiked above that 16 level now. Fear and greed. This is red because it broke above 80 and then back below 80, down to 63, still in the green. But the reversal is what's significant. AAII, this is retail. Bulls up slightly, bears down slightly. Nothing really to take away from that. But the NAAIM asset managers, this is actually a good thing to see if you're active manager the way we are. This pulled back to the 76.85 level, down 4% versus last week. The news mentioned Meta, Microsoft up on earnings. We'll talk about a few other earnings after hours here slightly. But again, that masked what was really going on with the indexes. So they were up, but the indexes were red, and Microsoft gave up half of its gains intraday. PCE inflation data out before the open, basically in line. We got the jobs report that could move the market before the open on Friday. Keys coming into today. S&P against the 8 EMA, broke it. NASDAQ versus the 8, basically right on it. Russell against the 21, breaking it. Dollar strength continues. Day count, 11-day of the breakout, but a hard down 1 today. So we'll be monitoring that breakout level. And as I said again, first close, it's a change in character when you were above the 8 EMA for as long as we were. First move below, still 68 days above the 21-day moving average on the S&P. Our expectations, we keep them as positive. as long as we're above the 21-day moving average on the S&P and the Nasdaq, but may just be time for a pullback within a bull market. The action today, we talked about the three waves down and the volatility expansion, the range expansion. S&P ATR ticked up a bit today to 0.69. It's going to tick up a little bit more tomorrow with the wider range today, over 1.5%. Let's see, sectors, XLC, because of Meta and utilities, were positive. Gold was positive to the downside. Semiconductors, cloud stocks, oil, banks, basic materials, healthcare, and real estate. Portfolio update. Added to Hood in GROTECTION and started SoFi, 1.27%. We'll take a look at these charts in a minute. 1.27% adjusted beta, 4.7% open heat. TurboTection, talked about the trim with QLD, very nice there. Bought MP and Futu, 2.10 volatility adjusted beta, 5.03% balance at risk. This is if all of the stops in the portfolios would get hit, this is what the drawdown would be. So bottom line on the day, S&P and Nasdaq gapped up but faded to red. Four indexes closed below their 21. Leaders mixed. That's really the positive takeaway from the day. Keys for tomorrow. Keep an eye now on the S&P against the 8 and the 21. Nasdaq 100 against the 8 and the 21. See if the Russell can regain the 21. And how about leaders versus indexes? They showed relative strength today. If they really start to get hit, that would be a big red flag for our way of doing things. All right, let's take a look at some individual charts now, and we'll start off with Meta, the big winner. You can see the gap up, huge volume, closed a little bit below the mid-range during the trading day. Microsoft, however, gave up half of the gains, closed near the low of the day. After hours, we've got Apple. It is up 2.7%, so that conference call must be going pretty well. Amazon, the other big one after hours, and that is down 7%. That conference call must not be going very well because that's near the lows of the after hours session. A couple of other key stocks. Coinbase reported that's down 8% after hours, so that'll be breaking the 21-day moving average. Reddit, the big winner after hours, this is in the 2121 list, was up 7% during the day, up another 18% after hours. Great performance there. A couple other names we're watching: Rocket Mortgage, up 5.5%, and First Solar, the most liquid solar stock, forming a cup and handle. It's up 4% after hours. Let's get into some individual holdings in the portfolios and see how they did. The Turbo 12 holding LEU sitting right on the 21-day moving average. A couple of them breaking the 21-day. Sedge, actually, it's sitting right on the 21. AS, barely breaking the 21. SSK hasn't even traded 21 days. VIK holding up pretty well. Let's go to the 21 over 21 list. We'll start off with what we hold in the portfolio. Palantir continues to look great. That has earnings on Monday. GEV closed at the bottom of the range, but still positive. Hood, after earnings, a little bit of a shakeout. We added to it after it bounced, sold off in the afternoon along with the rest of the market, but holding this 100 level. NVIDIA, a reversal after new highs, but still holding the 8 EMA. MP Materials holding that 60 level, and SoFi closed near the low of the range, but still up after pricing an offering yesterday and bouncing nicely off the 21-day moving average. So a couple of these names breaking the 21. We already mentioned Coin, which closed on it, but will be breaking after hours. We also talked about GDX, second close below the 21 and the 50-day moving average. CCJ reported earnings, not a good reaction, closed below the 21-day moving average as well. And that is it. Let's see if there's anything else that really stands out that we want to keep an eye on. APP is in the 2121 list that reports next week, but had a nice breakout of this tight consolidation today, up 7.5% on 51% above average volume. And that's going to wrap it. As always, like to hear from you. The email is don@revereasset.com. The phone's 855 Real Wealth. That's 855 732 5932. If you're interested in becoming a client, email my partner, Dan Stewart, dan@revereasset.com. And if you're watching our videos, please like it on YouTube. That helps the algos get our content into the streams of people that are looking for investment help. So the takeaway from today really is a negative reversal on the index is not a surprise after a 68-day move up above the 21-day moving average. The question is it just one day or is there more to come? We'll keep you updated every night here at Revere with what we watch in the market. So stick with us. And really what we're watching for now is the NASDAQ 100 and the S&P 500 testing their 21-day moving averages and seeing if leading stocks can just make this a uh, one day of outperformance versus the indexes would they need to continue to outperform or our stops will take us out of the market. Our flagship portfolio is named GROTECTION, and its more aggressive sister TurboTection, sister, brother, I don't know. Uh, they're designed to make money during uptrends and get the heck out of the way during downtrends. And we describe our process every night here on video, and we appreciate your support. And with that, I'll wrap it for Thursday, July 31st. This is Don Vandenbord with Revere Asset Management, telling it like it is. Thanks for listening and have a great day.